Last year, as Oscar said earlier, the City Council here made a promise not to invest in any further fossil fuels, but it's a pledge that hasn't been matched by their ambition on the ground. The Paris Climate Change Agreement that we signed in Paris, along with hundreds of other countries, signalled decisively once and for all that the future has to be zero carbon. That's the direction in which we're all travelling. But I love the way that the Zero Carbon Society here in Cambridge greeted that deal. They said that it was welcome, it was the final nail in the coffin of the fossil fuel industry, but that it was a nail that had to be hammered in by civil society. And that's exactly what has to happen. They're not going to honour these agreements unless citizens and local communities come together to force them to take proper action. In Cambridge, our City Council's welcome decision in favour of divestment has not been accompanied by enough action on the ground. We know that action on dealing with traffic and air pollution in the city has been too slow, and the City Council, as Oscar said, has currently missed the opportunity to get its energy from a fully renewable supplier. And the Council's new strategy on dealing with climate change says that the City Council and the city here needs to be zero carbon by 2050, a time that is far too late. The UK Climate Change Agreement of 2008 said that the entire country needs to cut its emissions by 80% by 2050, which means that cities around the country will need to effectively be zero carbon by then. I don't believe that doing the bare minimum is aspirational, and we think the City Council here should have a lot more ambition. The Paris Climate Change deal also set the aspiration of limiting global temperature rises to only 1.5 degrees. It's an aspiration that will save millions of lives if we manage to achieve it. And it's one that requires us to ramp up our ambitions significantly. And to meet that goal, a number of cities around Europe have already set the target of becoming zero carbon in the coming years. Copenhagen thinks it can do it by 2025. Haringey Council in London wants to cut emissions by 40% by 2030. But here in Cambridge, we're lagging a long way behind. Per capita emissions in the city are a long way behind reductions of Leicester, Bristol and Brighton. It's really a race that Cambridge should not be lagging behind in. Given some of our access to the world's leading climate academics, our unique location for access to research and innovation, the enthusiastic community that we have, and our status as a world-leading cycling city, we should not be falling behind in this race. Woo! Cambridge has everything that it needs to become the UK's first carbon-neutral city. The only thing that's missing is the political will to do so and a clear route map of how we can achieve this. And that's exactly what you guys have got in your hands right there.
This one.
Yeah, we think Cambridge can achieve that goal by 2030. But we have to be clear, it's not something that politicians or that the Green Party can deliver by ourselves. It's going to require investment by all our society, and that's why we're calling for the foundation of what we call a Green Growth Partnership. A broad, welcoming partnership of community groups, environmental groups, the universities, social enterprises, businesses and local government, all united around the common goals of reducing carbon emissions and improving quality of life for everyone. And these measures to reduce carbon emissions will have to take place right across every part of our society. They have to take place firstly in our homes. All the new houses we build will need to be built to high standards of energy efficiency, like the passive house standards that would cut fuel bills by 90%. We need to focus on creating a zero-waste local economy, reducing, reusing and recycling as much as possible, and using what's left to create biogases to power public transport and heat public buildings. These changes have to take place in our communities. There's going to be 34,000 new homes being built around Cambridge in the coming years, and those must include renewable energy sites as standard and must make green choices as easy as possible. The changes have to take place in our businesses and our shops. Leading companies like BT, IKEA, Marks & Spencer's have already committed to being powered 100% by renewable energy in the coming years. With this partnership that we're calling for could help others to do that and move more quickly. Shops have to reduce packaging, source their products sustainably and make green choices as easy as possible for people. To survive the transition to this low-carbon future, businesses need to adapt, and those that begin to do so quickly will have a huge advantage over the others. And the changes have to take place in our transport system as well. We need to have a rapid rolling out of electric and low-emissions vehicles, a huge expansion of public and active transport, and a reduction in traffic and private car use. The transition to a zero-carbon future is not just a burden, but is actually a huge opportunity for us. If we signal that we're ready and to move on and start creating those industries of the future, we will attract all the talent and all the entrepreneurs of the future who are getting ready for the zero carbon age. But it's also a huge opportunity to enable us to tackle so many of the wrongs that we currently have in our society. We can reduce carbon emissions at the same time as we tackle fuel poverty. 6,000 families in Cambridge, 6,000 individuals live in fuel poverty, a figure that's completely unacceptable, and we can improve energy efficiency and solve that problem while we reduce carbon emissions. And we can tackle the problem of air pollution, which at times is higher in Cambridge than in New York, Sydney or Moscow. Let's tackle that air pollution at the same time as we roll out public and active transport and make those choices easier for people. Thank you. Sorry. Break for applause. And lastly, and most importantly, we need to honour the commitment that we made in Paris to the poor and the vulnerable in all those developing countries around the world that are suffering already because of climate change. Every minute that we further waste means more suffering and more death for those people. So let's join together, let's make this partnership work, and let's make Cambridge become a leader in tackling climate change. Thank you.